Hi again, and welcome to our next instalment of our AsiaLIFE interview series. I'm joined today by Ralf Matthaes, the Managing Director of In Focus Mekong Research, a market research firm. Ralf, thank you.
Welcome.
You've been in the market research business in Vietnam for how long now?
26 years.
26 years?
Yeah.
Okay. I noticed you'd done some research recently. It was published in Vietnam News on people's attitudes towards whether or not social distancing measures should continue or not. For people who didn't see that article, perhaps, can you just give us a bit of a recap?
Sure. On the 14th, we did a survey with 500 people, but across all incomes, age brackets, so on and so forth. And we asked three questions. The first question was, should the government continue social distancing to ensure that we avoid the spread of COVID? And 89% agreed. So that's very strong. However, you know what they say, it's not what you say, it's how you say it. So we asked the question slightly differently, where we said, should the government stop social distancing because it negatively impacts business except for schools? And then when we asked, it was only 50% wanted to continue. So obviously there's a substantial impact that's happening to businesses, especially Hanoi, Ho Chi Minh City. And one of the other questions we asked was, how have you been affected by COVID? And 20% had not been affected at all, or 6% even their businesses went up. But you had 35% who have had their salaries cut. You had 31% who have said they have actually lost their jobs, and another 14% who said that their companies are temporarily closed. Now, we don't know specific industries, but it does say that 80% have been negatively, adversely impacted because of the social distancing.
Well, with that research, I was surprised to read that there wasn't a great deal of difference in the regions. Was that something you expected or not?
Look, I would have expected that South Vietnam would be more about stopping the social distancing, but you have to understand with a sample of 500, it is a small sample, so we have to take it as a guideline. We can't take it as absolute truth.
Sure.
On the other hand, Asians are fairly hypochondriac in that respect, right? So, and as I said in the article, better safe than sorry. And I think, let's be honest, the government has done a fantastic job here in terms of containing this. And why? Because they did it very, very early. Like, I think that schools were, I think Tet was around the 21st.
Yep.
And the day of Tet, when I went to work, half my staff weren't there because they had stopped schools and the parents had no babysitters, right? So it's been now 3 months. The schools have been out. Like, you think about it, that's about the same as China. So, I mean, Vietnam acted very, very early, and I think that's why we've had such positive results.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And sort of to that point, because it's been so well managed here, how do you think that's puts Vietnam in a good position to rebound economically? I mean, once those sort of restrictions are lifted and people can sort of go back to work.
I think look, Vietnam is now a part of the global economy. All right, so whatever happens globally, Vietnam is going to be impacted adversely or positively, one way or the other. Having said that, however, I think because Vietnam's done such a good job, I think you're going to see a huge additional level of interest in Vietnam in terms of FDI, even in terms of ODA, overseas development assistance. And Japan has just come out and said that, hey, we are absolutely targeting Vietnam for our investment profile.
Cool.
Yeah. So Vietnam, I think, will do much better than most. As you know, Vietnam has always been called the Asian tiger tail. Right? And it's been the last 3-4 years where Vietnam has become one of the Asian tigers. I honestly believe that Vietnam is going to be the top of the pops. Before you had the China plus one, well, now it's becoming China plus 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Right? Chinese companies are moving because of what's happened with China. Obviously, it's impacted relations and whatever else. But I think it's going to show a huge level of inflow when it starts to Vietnam, because Vietnam handled this very well. So it shows safety, it shows government control. It also gives real accolades to the Vietnamese government of, hey, like, oh, communist country, whatever. No, they've done a really good job. And I think the rest of the world takes notice. I think you've seen articles that are really talking about, like, Vietnam being one of the top countries in the world with having to, well, a cheap, affordable way to avoid the crisis by early intervention and early prevention.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
in terms of the talking the domestic market now, something you're intimately familiar with, consumer sentiment or consumer confidence.
right.
How do you think people, Vietnamese people, will respond once things open up again? Will they feel confident to go out and do that discretionary spending and so forth?
Every year we do a consumer confidence index. We typically do it at the end of December, where we ask, how will Vietnam do, same, better, or worse than last year? How much will you spend, same, more, or less than last year? So we did this in December before COVID, and I think it was about 76% said that Vietnam's lot and their lot in life would be better in 2020. We did the same survey again on March 4th.
Oh.
And consumer confidence went from 73% down to, I think it was 35% or something like that. But that's, how do you say, the white noise, right?
Yeah.
The white noise of what's been happening.
Yeah.
So, look, Vietnamese are very optimistic. When you think about, they've come out of probably one of the worst nightmares that any country could have after the American war in Vietnam. So, look, we've got a fairly young population, we've got a very optimistic population, we've got a hard-working population. So, not for everybody, but I think you're going to see the Vietnamese pick it up and get back on the bandwagon of spend consumerism fairly quickly. The one caveat would be, and we're just about to launch a survey on this, is obviously certain big ticket items, like whether you're talking about a car or whether you're talking about an apartment. When a lot of people still live on a month-to-month paycheck here, right? Average income in Ho Chi Minh City, household income is about 25 million dong. If you're losing that income or that income is halved, it does have an impact. So to answer your question, I would say 30 to 40% of the population, at least urban population, will not be impacted by this.
Right.
But I think you're going to have at least 25 to 30% which are going to be pretty heavily impacted by this. So consumerism will not return back to its pre-COVID state. And I don't think it will until at least probably end of Q4 or early next year.
Okay.
Yeah.
We had a chat the other day with Steve Mueller from Vesper Adventures, tour operator, and he was predicting that even once things do open up, it's going to take a long time for things in the tourism and travel sector to pick up, because people obviously are not moving around the globe like they were previously. Looking at Vietnam, can you think of any sectors you think will perhaps rebound the quickest, and other sectors that might be the slowest to come back?
Right. I think the fastest ones obviously is anything to do with ITC, anything to do with digital platforms. In that survey, 6% of all surveyed said that they're busier than ever.
Right.
So obviously these are your e-commerce platforms, these are your delivery services, these are probably your online content providers, so on and so forth. So I think some of those sectors are going to do very well. I think also, and we've seen it, like things like bottled water, frozen foods. I have a friend who runs Frista, which is a frozen foods business. He's gone on to 3 shifts a day making frozen pizzas, and he can't keep up. So, it really depends on what the offer is, right? But I think some of these sectors are really going to boom. The one sector I was very bullish on this year was the automotive sector, right? And they're down 35% from this time last year because of what's happened.
Yeah.
So the big ticket items are going to be slower because people, hey, we were planning this, and this is what's happened. Now this is the first time ever that there's been a credit crunch, if you will, where, hey, banks want their money back.
Right. Because traditionally this is not a credit-driven economy. People they save the money and then...
Not really, no. Put it this way. Before WTO in 2006, 2007, this was 100% cash culture. Then, because of the new laws on retail banking and whatever else, it went to a credit culture. And in the last 4 or 5 years, we've seen the evolution of a debit culture. And when I say debit culture, last year, 45% of all Vietnamese took out a loan of some format. Now, only half of those are actually from official banks or credit companies. The other half are friends, family, our good friends in District 4 from those kind of places. So this is one thing that's going to be a real negative for Vietnam because, hey, debt is something that the Vietnamese aren't accustomed to, right? And they don't really understand, like, okay, you got to pay back this with interest and whatever else. So that's an uncertain gray area. Because I mean, you look at these companies like Home Credit and so on and so forth. The average loan is like $5 million.
Right, so it's micro lending essentially.
Yeah. But so you take out a $5 million for whatever, 1.5 to 2.5% interest a month. So you're talking about 14, 15, 16% cumulative interest, and also you don't have that money. So that's going to be one to watch out for. That's quite scary.
Sure. Yeah. Okay, just finally, I've seen a lot written, heard a lot on news reports that work will never be the same and consuming will not be the same after this event, because we know now that we can do things remotely, we can do things online. How do you sort of see that? Do you think this has been a transformative event in terms of how people behave, both in how they work and then how they consume and how they interact?
There's a famous quote, I forget, it's by a British author, and he says that change is driven by doing, not by thinking. So, if I will myself to lose weight, until I actually get off my ass and start running, nothing's going to happen, right? Or drink less beer, or whatever the case may be. I think what's happened with what's happening now is, for a lot of people, because I mean, put it this way, monthly e-commerce purchase, right, is over 50% in urban Vietnam already, okay? However, it's all COD, so on and so forth. Now, I think what this is forced is all of a sudden people are, hey, I'm buying online, I've been satisfied by buying online, I'm going to buy more online. Delivery service, less to restaurants, more to delivery, I'm going to do more of it. Look, I think we're all going a little bit nuts, a little bit stir-crazy here. When social distancing is done, every bloody bar is going to be packed up to the rafters, every restaurant is going to be packed up to the rafters. But also understand, people have taken a hit in their wallets. So Vietnamese are very prudent and very smart, and they're still very cost conscious. So to answer your question, yes, there will be an impact because it's introduced these platforms to people who either haven't used them before or ones who have, who will use them more. Okay, but I think we're all creatures of habit. Sure, I read online, but I like nothing better than actually reading a magazine. So there's going to be an impact which is going to amplify all those services, but it's not going to be like, okay, I'm not going to go shopping anymore. People love to go shopping, especially in Vietnam. There's a famous saying in Vietnam, and that is trying is believing. Using, smell, touch, taste, going to the markets and whatever else, okay? I think one of the things is we could see a decrease from the wet markets. I think we're going to see an increase when it comes to retail much more on the convenience side, which was already happening, even though they're not making money. Circle K took them 6 years to start making money. So you're going to see an amplification of what people did, all right? But you're also going to see people going back to what they're accustomed to because they like doing it.
Right.
I think one of the big trends has been the shared office space, right?
Yeah.
I think that actually might reduce, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So I think some of these companies are going to be in deep doo-doo moving forward. On the other hand, we all know that Vietnam real estate has been way overpriced. We've been in a speculative bubble for a while. And we know that, like even Canadian Chamber of Commerce, Vice President, we asked for a reduction. We received a reduction of 2 months by 50%. That doesn't mean that they're not going to go back, but I think what it's going to do is reduce some of the fixed costs.
Yep.
Apartments, office space, whatever else, because people now realize, hey, maybe we do this. We've been working remotely now for 2.5, 3 weeks. And I do miss being in the office. You just get more done, and more FaceTime. It's more convenient, But also, when I think of it, because we are a mobile-driven research company, you could say, hey, what we could actually do is get a smaller space and do shifts and reduce the rent. So I think these are things that people are actually going to genuinely consider.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, when hypothetically, if we're back online, social distancing is done, let's say May 4th after Labor Day, all right, it will take at least 2-3 months for the factories to get back online, for the orders to get back online. So realistically, I think any sense of normalcy won't be till like September, October, realistically.
Yeah.
But I think you're going to see people being able to save on fixed assets. Except for one thing, obviously delivery, supply chain is going to be a tough one.
Yeah, true. I got to tell you though, I'm looking forward to going back to a restaurant.
Yeah, me too. I'm looking forward to going to a few bars.
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, Ralf Matthaes from In Focus Mekong Research, thank you so much for joining us today.
Well, they're welcome.
There we go.
And
we're out.